What's good happening, you guys? Welcome to the Adagalam podcast show. Are you that guy or a girl who wants to know the basics of money management and instruments to carry it on? Then this video is for you. In this episode, we have with us Raj Abhisar Agarwal. We had discussed about fixed deposits, SIPs, mutual funds, stock markets, financial literacy, and much more. If you are new to this channel, do subscribe and check out the description for Abhisar's Instagram profile and the timestamp of this video. So grab your earphones and let's dive into the video. Welcome, Abhisar. It's good to have you on the show. First of all, first of all, please introduce yourself to the listeners, bro.
Sure. So I am Raj Abhisar Agarwal. I'm currently a final year economics student at Delhi University. So I'm pursuing economic honors from that, and I'll be graduating in a week. I'm having my exams nowadays, and in like 10 days, I'll be joining Bain and Company as a junior consultant. And I've started my financial literacy Instagram page back in January 2021. It's been just 5 months. It has been a crazy journey, and I've been getting good response from the people. I've been working really hard on it, and overall, I'm a very basic person. I'm a football fan, and I am an extrovert. I like to talk to people. I love talking, and yeah, that's about me.
Yeah, so actually, I can see in the background that you are a football fan. I think it's Barcelona pictures over there.
Major Barcelona, but I also follow individual football players. Like you could see Aubameyang, you could see Dybala, and all.
Yeah. So, my first question will be, what is your thought on the financial literacy about Indians particularly?
Okay, so I believe that financial literacy is majorly missing in India. Like we are taught everything in the school from Pythagoras theorem to chemicals to physics, motion, gravity. All right, that's all is important. Fair enough. It's basics. It's what it's you are making children learn about the world, how it is made up of. That's completely fair. But after a point, it gets out of hand. You don't need to. You don't need integration if you don't want to do anything in that particular field. For example, if I want to become a CA, so why would I learn integration? Instead, teach me about taxes, teach me about money, teach me about how exactly should I invest my money, what is trading, what are different type of investment instruments, right? But we have never thought about that. Even I studied accountancy in class 11 and 12. There were taxation word, but we were never told what is tax, how it is implied in real life. I had to learn everything either from internet or from my dad. And luckily, my dad has a good idea about all type of taxation, all these legal matters. But everyone doesn't. So where would one get financially literate? So I believe in India the shape is really, really bad. The literacy ratio is increasing great, but financial literacy, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Do you think education system plays a vital role in it?
Yeah, it does. It does. It means it should inculcate this financial literacy as a subject. If it's in my hand, I would literally introduce a subject, compulsory subject called money or finance for class 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th at least. Yeah. So, but at the same time, I believe that charity begins at home. So your parents also play a major role, and again, it's all depends upon you. If you are curious, if you are passionate, you learn everything you want.
Yeah. So let me take you to the next question. What is fixed deposit and how bad it is? Because I personally know how fixed deposit can ruin one's money. What's your take on it?
Alright, so fixed deposit is a very basic instrument. So you give a particular money to a bank, probably a lump sum amount or a fixed amount every month, and banks and that particular bank it fixes a particular interest rate, and it tells you that after every year it will just compound. And in some fixed deposit there are also lock-in periods. Like in senior citizen fixed deposit you cannot withdraw money. In certain banks I've heard that you cannot withdraw money for 3 years, 5 years, like that. So fixed deposit is a very basic instrument, but the only problem with this that it follows the power of compounding great, but the interest rate is ridiculously low because banks are also not liable here because they are also here to learn. So the higher the fixed deposit interest would be, the higher they'll be charging the loan interest because they earn the difference between the two, right? So if we are asking for a higher FD rate, then indirectly we are also asking them to charge us higher interest on loans, right? Which we cannot do obviously because indirectly it will impact the economy because loans are more important than the FD. So right now in public sector banks, the major ones, SBI, HDFC, Punjab National Bank, the FD rate is around, it starts from 3.5%, 4%, and it ranges up to 5.5, even 6% at max. Some senior citizens even get 6.5. But again, the current inflation rate of India is 6.2%. So in case your money is growing 6% per year and 6.2% is inflation, so technically you are losing money. At the same time, the interest that you earn is fully taxable. If you are in 30% tax slab, then you are again paying 30% on that.
Yeah.
So for example, if you earn 6% interest, 30% of that means you are earning 4.8% interest in real term, and 6.2% is inflation. Then what exactly are you doing? You are actually giving away your money. So I believe that FD has been a long, it has been a favorite instrument of our parents, of generations, because it's safe. It's completely safe, according to me. Like, there's no chance a bank would run just like that. At least the big, renowned banks. But again, it's like giving away your money. It's like wasting your money. If you're getting an interest rate like 8.5, 9%, and you are a very risk averse person, no, I cannot invest in the stocks or anywhere, then okay, fine, it's okay. But right now, current scenario, please don't go for it.
Yeah, so I think fixed deposit is like government jobs, because it is fixed for you and it will be safe. The government jobs are usually very safe, so I can relate it to it. And what do you think about SIPs? Because nowadays many people, actually in my family itself, many are trying to get an SIP plan for them. So what is SIP basically, and how does it benefit?
So SIP is not an instrument. SIP instead is a method. So it's a method to invest in an instrument. For example, you can have an SIP for a fixed deposit as well, for a recurring deposit as well. And majorly SIP has been, confused for mutual funds. So when people say we are doing SIP, so they are trying to say we are investing in mutual funds, but technically, bookish language, they are very wrong. That SIP is not an instrument; it's just a method. So it stands for systematic investment plan, and under it, you just need to put, a fixed amount of money into a particular instrument according to your liking every month, or probably quarterly, or even once a year or twice a year, right? So majorly SIP is like used for investing in mutual funds. And again, now mutual funds are also like of various categories: hybrid funds, balance funds, debt funds, equity funds, index funds. So it totally depends upon you in which type of fund you are investing. So SIP is a great method for 2-3 reasons. First is that it helps you save. Like, a part of your income goes in that particular investing thing for sure.
Yeah.
Second is that second, SIP also increases your discipline. For example, as Warren Buffett says, that do not spend what you earn. Spend after saving, right? You should first save, then spend what is left. So SIP is again a great investment method. And personally, my family and I, we also have been doing SIP, and monthly a lot of money goes into SIP and invest.
So it is a fixed amount that goes into SIP, or it can be variable?
It can be variable as well. Like, I have seen people that for first year they were investing just 1,000 rupees per month. Then in the second year they increase that particular money. So it can be variable. It depends upon the place and the platform, the instrument which you are investing in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about mutual funds? Can you say something
Again,
about it?
as I said, mutual funds are really good, but it again depends on which type of mutual funds you're going in.
No,
Like in India,
first of all, can you please explain what is mutual funds? Because I think most of them don't know what exactly is mutual funds.
So mutual funds, in a very simple term, if you don't know anything about mutual fund, I would like to explain you like a way. Like, for example, let's take a very basic example of stock market.
Okay.
So there are thousands of stocks, right? And there are some top 100 stocks. And now you feel like that I want to invest in every stock, but one stock is of 10,000 rupees, one is of 100 rupees, one is of 10 rupees, and I just have a limited amount. How do I actually get the exposure of all these stocks? So what mutual funds does is that it bridges that gap. So a mutual fund manager or company, what it makes a pool of money. It asks people to contribute money. Like, a person can give 1,000 rupees, a person can give 5,000 rupees. So that way they raise an amount in crores and crores and billions of rupees, and they then invest that money into those particular stocks. For example, they said that we'll be tracking top 100 stocks, Nifty 100. So that pooled amount is gone into that particular 100 stocks. So technically, when that 100 stocks will grow, your 1,000 rupees will also grow, because your exposure is also there according to your part of that pool. So if there are 10 people, it's a hypothetical example. There are 10 people and 10,000 rupees, 1,000 rupees each. So if the profit goes up by 10%, so 1,000 kabhi you will earn 10%. It's like that. So mutual funds is a very simple thing, but again there is a lot of complication as well. I've just explained you in a very simple manner. It's not restricted to stocks. It can be debt funds. Debt may you can have loans, government securities, commercial papers, and then there are index funds which track a particular index. The Nifty 50, if it goes up, then my fund will also go up.
Yeah. So basically, it means diversification of your money.
Exactly.
Okay. And what about the stock market? Because recently Upstox, Zerodha and all are getting valuations in billions and also. What do you think of it? Do students, particularly college students, are investing more nowadays?
See, I believe that this lockdown came as a boon in disguise for the stock market. Particularly, people were sitting at home and they were, and this Harshad Mehta series,
Exactly.
Created a boom for everyone. So, although what they showcased was not the best manner how you should learn about the stock market, that was a very bad manner. Like people were thinking that we can just double or triple or quadruple our money in just a few months or days. But that's not how it goes if you are going for good long-term investing. So I believe the stock market is a very good medium for you to grow your money, be if you are a student or a person in 30s, 40s, or even a retired person. But all it needs is a lot of knowledge, and you need to be very cautious. Like you need to have your risk appetite known. You should know that what you are exactly going in for, what's your knowledge, how much can you bear, how much time can you devote. So I believe that this particular stock market has immense potential. I know people, not personally, but I see people on Twitter, they earn rupees in lakhs every day. There's this person who puts PNL every day, like 4 lakh rupees earned today, 3 lakhs rupees earned today. At the same time, there are people who earn 1,000 or 2,000 rupees every day. At the same time, there are people who lose immense amount of money every day. So again, it has immense potential. It totally depends upon you how you can harness. Yeah.
How can one learn that? If I think I am a college student and I have no exposure to it previously, so how can one start investing or how to learn investing?
So I believe that see, there are two things: investing and trading. So trading is very technical. Investing is comparatively very simple. So investing also has been made very tough by people. Like it has been made complicated for no reason. People are like, you should get this. I believe that investing is very simple. You just look around yourself. You'll find a lot of companies. Your slippers must be of Bata. You must be using Colgate as your toothpaste. Colparka you have share. Your tube light is of Havells. Havells ka share. Your fan would be of Orient Electric or Voltas. There's a share. Your AC would be of Voltas. You must be drinking juice that comes from HUL. So we are surrounded by companies. So just invest in businesses that you think that will grow, and you yourself are a proud consumer of those products. So for example, if you love Maggi, you can look into Nestle's share, and Nestle has given exceptional return over the years, right? So everything is comparatively very easy, and it's not that you should obviously invest blindly that I eat Maggi, I will invest in Nestle. You should always know the basics, and for that I'll just recommend 2 or 3 resources. The biggest and the best resource which I believe is Varsity app by Zerodha. It's like it's a free service. It's ad free. It has several modules and it can teach you everything A to Z about stock market. Like it's more than sufficient. And second is YouTube. YouTube is like the best place, but again there are a lot of people who are misguiding people. So go with reputed channels like Pranjal Kamra, CA Rachna Ranade. So these 2 sources are like immensely helpful. And third, Instagram. Like I am one of the content creator, and there are a lot of content creators who are way bigger and more experienced than me. So follow them, follow me, check our reels. Always listen to everyone, but do what exactly you understand, and never follow anyone blindly. Just make your own decision, make your own analysis.
Yeah, super. And what do you think about startups in general? Because startup, as the stock market increased, startup also got boom in the Indian market, and many investments were coming from foreigners and all. So, what's your take on the startup ecosystem?
See, startups are no doubt the future of the Indian economy, especially, and startups have become the driving engine. Like a lot of money is going into startups, a lot of energy, talent is going into startups. But what we see from on the ground, what we see from the books and from on the internet is that this startup is valued this much, this startup is valued this much. It's a success. In just 5 years, they have made 4 times money and all that. But what we don't see that how many startups failed. Like the surveys say, the statistics say, the experienced people say that only 1 in 100 startups get famous.
Yeah.
Only 1 in 10 startups survives, and only 1 in 1,000 startups get that unicorn investment.
Unicorn.
Sort of. Right.
Yeah.
So I believe that startups is a very good way, and I believe that it, as a student especially, it will teach you a lot. But again, you should not, think about starting a startup just because everyone is doing it, just because you have an idea.
Yeah.
I believe that idea is the starting point, but you should have a whole long-term perspective. You should have that what is your problem solving mechanism? How can you add value to others? What is your niche? So there's a lot more than idea. People jump onto an idea and open a startup, and later only to find it after 2-3 years of struggling that it goes down.
Yeah.
So you need to have a lot of, it takes a lot of brain,
Yeah.
courage, patience, investment, a team for a startup.
Yeah.
So I personally am not a startup person. Like, I get a lot of good ideas, but I know that I am not that kind of person who would be an entrepreneur, not at least now. So again, don't do it because everyone else is doing. I also feel left out, like fear of missing out. That
Yeah.
everyone is opening startup. Like, why am I sitting? I could also earn money, but again, please follow your instinct, follow your gut feeling, follow your your particular risk appetite and everything. So startups are very good, but again, you should always know the other side of the coin, the sad reality.
Yeah.
So make sure you look into that.
Yeah, I think most of the people doesn't know the bad side of the startups and the struggles they have. So just the fame and glory they can see is highlighted in the media.
The CEOs say that it takes tens of years to be called an overnight success.
Oh,
People
yeah.
call it overnight success, but it takes decades. to
Yeah.
become that.
Mm.
Yeah.
And also I want to talk about crypto. What's your take on it? And if digital currency is legal in India, and what are the rules you expect to be? Like it is highly manipulated by single person. Like Elon Musk puts a tweet and Dogecoin rises or it goes down dramatically. So, what are the laws that would be enforced by the government if it makes legal?
So see, basically, a lot have been coming up about cryptocurrency in India lately. Like there have been rumors since 6 months, basically, majorly that government will either ban it completely, or either they'll introduce their own digital currency, or probably they will regulate it. Like recently, El Salvador, they accepted Bitcoin and they added it into the reserves, so which was a very good news for everyone. But again, it was just a very petty country, and we just don't know anything about it in depth. Like people were saying that the revolution has begun, but it's not necessary. Had it been the US, had it been the China, then we would have said that revolution has begun. But it's El Salvador. It's a small step, but it's not a major step. And coming back to India, see, I personally believe that crypto is the future, no doubt. But right now, crypto has become, it is being used in the wrong way. Like people are not exactly understanding what crypto is. They're just blindly, just minting money in that. They just want money. They don't know what that coin does, who made that coin, why that coin exists. They just know that I will buy at this price, I will sell at this price, this is gonna go up, this is gonna go down, and that's it. People miss out on fundamentals of tech, fundamentals of crypto. For many people, it would be shocking that even crypto has fundamentals, but trust me, they do. And only the coins that are fundamentally strong will survive in the long run. And a lot of coins, not a lot of, even majority of the coins can even disappear someday, and I won't be surprised. So every crypto coin has a whole problem solving mechanism. The founder, when they created that crypto, they had something in mind. So you need to understand what exactly had they in mind, what problem they are here to solve. If it's a good problem, if it's a good mechanism, then only it will survive, then only it will lead to a generation of wealth. And about coming to the laws in India, see, I'm not an expert about all this, and I honestly believe, I'll be very honest, that I have not a very good knowledge about legal issues, but the basics would be, I believe they will, if laws come, if they regulate it, I hope they don't ban it, but if they regulate it, then I believe that they will put some taxation on it, heavy taxation. They will charge crypto exchanges a lot of taxes, and I believe they should do that. Like it's a new generation of revenue. It's a new source of revenue, and when people are blindly putting a lot of money, then why not to get a part of it in government's reserves? Because at the end of the day, the reserves are used for the public itself, right? So, taxation would be there. There might be a stricter law. There might be some restriction for particular coins. For example, there are certain coins which are just there for speculation. So I won't be surprised if government says that only a handful of coins are allowed to trade in India, like the top 100 or like top 50, something like that. Like it could be anything. Nobody
Okay.
knows about it, but I believe that taxation and restriction of number of coins would be there. I
Okay.
believe.
Yeah. Good. And any five crypto, you can say any five crypto coins that you look after.
Honestly speaking, I'm more of a stock market person. I would more than happily tell you five stocks, but five cryptos, it's like a very tough thing. And at the same time, see, the stocks which I'll name, I know that those companies are big enough. They won't, just disappear or close.
Yes.
But when it comes to crypto, I have no idea. Bitcoin even crashed 50%. So after that, anything can happen. Honestly.
Yeah.
I won't name any single point here. Just do your own analysis, act according to your risk appetite, and please look into the fundamentals and go in for the long term. Don't just think about, I'll buy today, I'll sell tomorrow. Because real wealth is made over the years. The people who invested in Bitcoin in 2017, 16, 12, today they have become millionaires and billionaires because they were patient, they held on to it.
Yeah.
Not just they made, double their money and they exited and they were like very happy. No, we know them today because they have been patient all this time. So I won't recommend any coin here because honestly, I'm not into crypto that much. I just, read overall. I just talk to people. I've been just seeing articles, but I'm more into stock market. So if you ask me stocks, that's okay, but no crypto, not crypto. I won't recommend any crypto. Crypto is the future, no doubt. But just be very cautious.
Okay. And what about the economy of India? Will it grow? Because the PM has said a 5 trillion economy. That's the goal of India in next decade or so. So what do you think? Will India achieve that, or what's the trend? What will be the trend after 5 to 10 years?
See, I believe that Indian economy is gonna have a very, very boom period. At least in this decade, a lot of money has been coming from foreign countries in the stock markets, in investments, in government to the government, to startups and everything. So the future looks very good about for the Indian economy. And this Corona period has no doubt acted as a barrier. We would have been like way better. All the world economy has been way better without Corona, obviously. But again, I believe that Indian economy has a very good future, and a lot of money is coming here. A lot of good opportunities are opening up. The problem that we face is our ever increasing population, because again there are limited opportunities and there are like lines and tons of people sitting there. So that's the only barrier that we are facing. Everything's getting better, like literacy ratio is increasing, laws are getting better, people are getting financial literacy is also increasing day by day, a bit, like people are entering the stock market, obviously. Like a record number of demat accounts were opened last year. So means it's a good positive sentiment according to me. And who am I? Even the biggest investors like Rakesh Jhunjhunwala and all the Ramdev Agarwal of Motilal Oswal, they all have been saying that Sensex will quadruple in next 10 years, and there will be double digit growth. So these people are saying something, so there must be a whole a reasoning and analysis behind it. So I believe it's a very good period for Indian economy. And if you are in the stock market invested in good companies, then I believe that you are surely going to make a good amount of money.
Okay. And any tips for college students about financial literacy?
Tips for college students?
Yeah.
Okay. So I believe that as I said earlier too, that financial literacy should be compulsory from school itself. But again, even I started in college. I regret saying it. I literally regret that I became so late, but that's okay. It's never too late.
Yeah.
So I believe that financial literacy, even if you're a doctor, if you're an engineer, if you're a lawyer, it doesn't matter. The one thing common between all the professions is money. At the end of the day, you'll be earning money. You should know how to handle it, how to manage it, how to grow it, and how to just save it. Earning money is not tough, but keeping that money with yourself is very tough.
Yes.
So that way financial literacy works. So I believe that just start learning the basics. And if you are just confused where should I start, I'll tell you where I started. There's this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
It's the best place that you can start. It will teach you a lot. It's a very fun read. It's so interesting that I finished it in like 48 hours. Once I started, I couldn't just stop. Right? So that's where you can begin and just start learning about investing. Trading don't just jump into it. It's very technical if you pursue another profession, but you should know basics of investing, and you should just know about taxation, money, what are the interest rates everywhere, what are new rules coming. So you should know about it, because if you are in college,
Hmm.
in 2 3 4 years you'll start earning, so you should be knowing everything that what exactly goes in this particular financial world.
Yeah.
So yeah, starting is what matters.
Hmm.
And again, make good friends. Like I have some friends who I talk to about stocks and finance every day. So when you get company, you get motivation, you learn new things, you teach them new things. So that also matters. Your company also
Yeah.
can make a big difference.
Yeah. So I always believe that networking will help you anytime in your life. Yeah. And and in my every podcast, I ask to my guest a same question, and I'm going to ask you that. What do you prefer, being a specialist or being a generalist?
Obviously, who doesn't want to be a specialist, honestly? But again, it takes a lot of hard work, it takes a lot of experience, and it takes a lot of hours and again, years to become and be called a specialist. There can people go about calling themselves specialists, but I can proudly say that I am not a specialist. I know it. I have a long way to go. I have thousands of things to learn. So I'm not a specialist yet, but I would love to be a specialist, and just I'm day by day taking small steps towards that. Yeah.
Okay, but personally, I feel I would always prefer to be a generalist, because you can do many stuffs. You can know, basically, in the perspective of knowledge, you can gain many things in your life. So I prefer to be generalist, but personally,
So yeah, but at the same time, I also believe in this thing that people say jack of all, master of none. I say jack of all, master of all. That's the motto.
Yeah. So actually, a guest in my show told that you have to be a specialist in being generalist. So
that's pretty insightful. That's wonderful.
Yeah. So actually, he is also a chartered accountant.
Okay.
Devansh Lakhani. You might have heard in Instagram. Yeah.
I might have seen
Yeah.
thousands of pages.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you, Abhishek. Actually, it was a very insightful talk with you, and hope we can do many other podcasts, because
For sure. Thank you,
yeah.
Lokesh, for having me, and it was great. And I believe that the people who will be listening to the podcast learn something from me.
Yeah.
And instead, and also check out my page, raj.abhisar on Instagram.
Yeah.
And
it will be linked down in the description, guys.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek.